Happy Friday. Today is rollover currently happening, so volume is all weird. Not my favorite environment to trade. Found a couple trades to take. We're gonna go ahead and recap those. These trades were taken on my live stream, which happens on my main channel, Trades by Matt, every morning at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. So come hang out over there and let's dive into the recap right now. Yo, good morning. How we doing? Welcome. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. We have made it to the end of the week. We are very much mid rollover and there's like no news. I think we got 9 o'clock news. We got Michigan sentiment at 9 o'clock, and other than that, rig counts at noon for the crude traders out there, but nothing really for index traders other than Michigan sentiment at 9 o'clock, top of the hour. This rollover hasn't seemed terrible yet. Rollover can be a tricky time to trade. For some people, crush rollover, and some people think it's pretty tricky. I tend to fall into the category of thinking it's fairly tricky to trade because volume is split. I hope to find a couple things to take. I definitely don't want to be forcing things today. Forcing things on a Friday, and Friday of rollover and Friday of rollover without any news is like, I'm sure y'all can understand what I'm talking about, right? So but we'll see what happens. Here's the daily. Really nice doji. Failed to run the lows though, from prior day, and ended up getting a little kick out of it. So I think if we go back down to 500, we flush it hard. But again, it's rollover, so who really knows what we'll do? Is everyone trading M or U? I'm trading M still. I'll trade you on Monday. Also, if you haven't, make sure you press the thumbs up on down below. Let's get lit. Getting lit on a Friday morning, right around market open, just sounds perfect. Then I can tell the dad joke of the day too. Guess what, chat? VWAP open, huh? Got a VWAP open. Dead center of yesterday's value area as well. Markets are open. Dead center of value area from yesterday. We got 615-ish down to 540-ish. Currently at 580-ish. So we'll see what today brings. I think a return to settlement makes a lot of sense up at 600, and if we're going to go up to 600, we might as well go to value area high at 615. But who knows? Again, it's rollover and it's a VWAP open, and it's basically a no news Friday. Base hits. That will be that. This is a great example of a day that base hits are just, for me, the no-brainer solution. Just based on the conditions. Maybe we get amazing movement. You never know. Maybe we get the most amazing movement of all time and like huge 200-point runners, etc. I just think the odds of that are a little slim. Therefore, I think it's a great day to be patient. It's lit. Nice. All righty. Dad joke of the day is June 14th, Friday. Get my calendar out. June 14th, Friday. Dad joke of the day. Hey, it's Flag Day. That's cool. All right. What was Sherlock Holmes' favorite protein source? Mystery meat. I don't really know what mystery meat is, to be honest. Is that like spam, or is that something different? Is mystery meat something else? Like, is mystery meat like what is it called when people have the fake meat that's like vegetables? Beyond meat? Is that what mystery meat is, or is mystery meat something different? The chat does not like it. Alrighty. Mystery meat sounds kinky. Yeah, I mean, kind of, honestly. Surprise. All right, chat, we need some redemption on the dad joke. Actually, you know what, it's the weekend, so I have one more locked and loaded. Shall we get that one? Saturday the 15th and Sunday the 16th. A little bit of redemption, maybe. Honestly, I don't even know if there's redemption in this one or not. I haven't read it yet, but all right. Saturday, June 15th. Sunday, June 16th, which is Father's Day. Chat. I just realized they have the little holidays on these things. Your father, happy early Father's Day. Why do seagulls fly over the sea? If they flew over the bay, they would be bagels. I'll be honest. I feel like on Father's Day, they could have really loaded us up with a good joke. And they dropped the ball. They just straight up dropped the ball. On Father's Day, of all things, on a dad joke calendar, they really fluffed it. It's better than the mystery meat one, but barely. All right, we're ripping a little bit. Back into yesterday's close, maybe. Promise to stop using trading view, Matt. The data says in Q1 is at 19,890. Yeah, it's because they rolled over early, which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it per se, but it's pretty standard practice for day traders to just trade where the volume is. And the volume technically had not rolled when trading view had rolled to September. They like prematurely rolled. So there's nothing technically wrong with it. Like, you're still able to trade it. It's not a problem. But the volume wasn't there yet, which is kind of weird. Most platforms have an auto roll feature anyways. Like, well, they'll be like, the volume has flipped. Do you want to roll over? And you just say yes. All right, we got news in 20 seconds, guys. And we're loosening up a little bit. You can see like some emptiness. It's thin, but it's like a 10-point move. All right, 20 points, getting better. And we're getting back to even spreads, trying to. We got a big block, 250 down at 15. That's another thing with rollover you got to kind of take into account, chat, is that you're going to see some like awkwardly large size during rollover because people are rolling over contracts and trying to figure out how they're going to manage their positions in the rollover. So you'll see, like, obviously this is probably a news play, but you'll see very large blocks today, end of day today, Monday. I bet rollover hits support hard at Apex and Top Step. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Especially on at least Top Step X rolls automatically at the worst case, because the amount of people that come in saying their charts are broken or the data feed is broken when really they just are trading a contract that's expired and it literally physically cannot move because it's expired and they did not roll over, the number is very high. We see it every single rollover in the stream and in Discord. We're always like, prepare yourselves for the my chart's broken, people. The rotation that untested wick is kind of interesting. I would imagine we get volume up. Well, I guess I don't know, actually. I forgot this is still in the overnight highs. I was gonna say we probably have a point of control flip pretty soon, but just with the news, but I don't know if that's true, actually. Wick test just fired off at 20. I mean, it's interesting for sure. It's interesting. Value area high on the session. Value area high on the session. Magical 20s. If we go up and we test it, like the retrade down into 604 settlement, it looks pretty interesting as well to me. But I don't know if we get to fill here. But I would be watching for, I mean, I'm going to take my 10 points, but I'd be watching for a return to the middle of the range. Yesterday's close, 604. Push it and fill me up real quick. This is what I would like to see. This is the true wick test, technically. I mean, we might stop at this little wick. Right there at 18. Something like that. Trying to pop the prior high on the 1 minute. It just barely did it. I'm filled short, obviously. Pretty strong looking candle. That was like a interesting little like flush situation. If we get back below, I think we actually flushed down into 04. We ended up putting volume here. 24. I'm down 5 points, 6 points, 7 points, 8 points. And counting. Probably get stopped out, potentially. I don't know. I'm fine with the stop out. If stop out happens, I'm fine with it, but I want to let it play out because I still like the return to settlement and the 04 wick. But that was a turbo candle. Little double bottom too that needs to get repaired, I think. 195 blocked, pushing us down, huh? And I'm out. It's 296 across the board. That's $5,920 on that one trade. Obviously, I have a commission for each account there. It was a $300 trade across the board, and I'm out for 296 after commissions. $5,920, 15 points. Yeah, I mean, I got filled on the quick sweep to the top side, and then we put in volume there, and then quick sweep and repair of the double bottom. Honestly, it's pretty simple. Right into yesterday's close, I took like basically a true wick test there. True wick test entry would have been, instead of 18, it would have been at 21. So I gave up 3 points there, but that's a true wick test. I mean, nothing more, nothing less. It's just straight up what it is. I'm up $300 now, and $5,920. The wick test is something dangerous. Normally you don't. I don't know if you really call it dangerous. I don't know if that's the right word. I mean, anything in trading is dangerous. The thing is that people take a lot of wick tests that are not actually wick tests. They just see a freaking wick and they're like, oh, it must be this one. I hear, right? They're like, oh, we technically closed above it. We technically have a wick next to it. I should probably buy long. And it's like, come on, guys. It's not. If you're gonna trade the wick test, trade the indicator version of the wick test. Why don't you have an open trade runner? Because I trade one contract. It's very, very hard to have a runner when you have one contract that you take profit on. Trade micros for runners. Yeah. You can. You absolutely can trade micros for runners. You could trade 2 minis for runners as well. You could trade 100 minis or 100 micros for runners as well. You could trade 2 micros for runners. A lot of different options in the trading world. I personally love the all in, all out methodology. Why do people like runners so much? I mean, it's because they think that people like runners because they think they're gonna make more money with runners. Just plain and simple, right? Why would they not? Why would you like runners if you didn't think that you were gonna make more money with it, right? I think the thing is that a lot of people have a very, very hard time actually managing runners. And I think that a lot of people think that they make more with runners than they actually do. To be perfectly honest, I think that a lot of people don't really dissect their data that much. They've been told to have runners by XYZ, and so they just assume that's the right thing to do, as opposed to looking at their data and seeing how they actually trade. If you look at your data and you realize that you let things come back into you a lot, like, you probably would be better off having a set take profit, right? But yeah, it's very much a I feel like runners and like the crowd that says, you know, 2-to-1 reward to risk ratio or whatever, that crowd is very similar, and it's because they're just kind of regurgitating what they read online, which is totally fair, by the way. Like, everybody starts somewhere, so it's all fair. There comes a point in everybody's brain where you kind of realize that there's a lot of different ways to make the money. Hard part's keeping the money. How do you keep it, right? What's the best way to keep it? I think a lot of people also don't realize that, like, trade management directly affects your emotional and mental capital for the rest of the day, right? Like, if I'm managing runners for XYZ amount of time, like, my gas tank, my emotional capital has a full gas tank in the morning, right? And it just depletes as the day goes on. Very rarely do I find a gas station to fill me back up in the middle of a trading day. It's very hard to do, right? And I think a lot of people forget that, honestly. And so they just assume that runners are always a good thing, when the fact of the matter is, like, if they're managing a trade that has runners for an hour when we're really just going sideways, like, who knows if we're going to be ranging or trending down or trending up today at this point, right? It's still early, and trying to manage runners on that is mentally exhausting, when I could just take the trade, get out of the trade, and then I'm back up and focused for the next trade. You know what I mean? That's my perspective on it, at least, is that it's just, like, exhausting, and very rarely have I found myself making more money with runners than without runners. People struggle with the thought of leaving money on the table. I used to. Now I want to be in and out and done. Yeah, I think that's another great portion, is people look, another wick test. This one's a little too big for me. I don't want it. It's like also in the middle of the range. Yeah, I think a lot of people struggle with leaving money on the table. I know I did for a long time, until you finally kind of realize that no matter what you do, the markets are always going to be moving and there's always going to be something else to take. Whether that happens in the next hour or it happens the next day or in 2 days, there's always another trade because the markets are always moving, right? Once you can actually wrap your mind around that and stop trying to be done in the first hour and stop trying to like milk every single top tick, bottom tick, entry, exit, I think it typically starts working a little better for you. Get more patient, get more picky. But a lot of people feel the need to execute in a perfect environment, right? Meaning they had the bottom tick sniper entry long, and then they get out at the top tick sniper entry short. They let it run the whole way, and they think that that's perfect trading. And I just disagree. I just straight up disagree. What are runners? When you leave a take profit on your trade, or excuse me, when you have an open contract on your trade. So for instance, if this trade, if I had runners, I wouldn't have gotten out here. Or maybe I got out of one here or something. And then I don't even know where I would have looked at. Maybe VWAP, maybe further 80s. I don't know. Doesn't matter because I didn't do it. But then at some point the market reverses, because that's what the market does. The market moves in waves, right? It goes up and it goes down, all while finding some form of a direction. And I would have gotten stopped out at some point, right? And the example that I always use for runners, this is a great example, honestly. The example that I always use for runners is if I have a trade like this, right? Where I take 15 points. This is the trade I took. I got in, I took 15 points of profit. I locked in 300 bucks. It's done. If I took the same trade, right? And say I didn't lock in 15 points here. Instead, I let it run another 15 points. And I moved my stop up as a trailing stop to this 15 points. And then I get stopped out here. At the end of the day, both of those trades had a 15-point exit, right? But one trade is significantly more exhausting than the other because I saw it run into the money and I ended the trade with it going against me. Even though it's the same dollar values, right? I saw green go to red, right? Like a lot of green, and then we started pulling back. And I hate that. I would much rather have an entry and it run into my target and continue going and me take a little piece of the pie, but have had like a green euphoric feeling, essentially, right? Like, it did exactly what I wanted it to do. It did exactly what I was expecting it to do. Not this whole like, yes, wow, it's making so much money, and oh man, like I didn't end it with all that money. And if you're trying to have runners, very rarely are you ever going to close your trade at P&L high. Very rarely. Very, very, very rarely, right? And that's just a hard thing for me mentally. I just don't like it mentally. It makes me tired. Not to mention I'm in the trade for longer amounts of time, which makes me tired. And I'm not saying what I'm doing is the right way. I'm not saying the other way is the wrong way. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying like you have to learn for yourself as a trader what fulfills you, what makes you tired, what makes you be able to last in the game a little longer, what makes you see the market a little cleaner, right? Like all of those things, very important. Very, very important. From an apples to apples, same P&L, right? If it's the same P&L side by side, I'd rather have this than have a attempted runner every time. What advice would you give your 25-year-old version of you? I could go back and see some 25-year-old version of me videos on YouTube. I'd probably tell myself to be patient. Base hits and be patient. Stop messing with everything else. But the problem is that if you don't mess with everything else, you never understand the power of base hits and being patient. So, honestly, man, this is such a lame answer, but I probably wouldn't want to tell myself anything. I don't think I'd be where I am right now without the journey that I've been on. Kind of a lame answer, I get it, but especially with trading, every single thing that you go through is a massive learning experience that you kind of need. And you're not gonna have the same like powerful understandings of things without going through it. The house is looking crazy though. I saw it for the first time post demo. Dude, this might be the snag. I went and saw the house yesterday, first time since they started demo, and it's wild. The engineering came back, and like a bunch of the walls that we thought we were gonna have pillars on, like we don't actually need pillars there. So like it's opening up a ton. It's sick. It's so sick. I can't wait to show y'all the finished product. Some before and after side by side. It's gonna be so sick. I'm looking for a prior open test here, but I don't know if it's gonna happen. I'd like for it to happen. Yesterday's close. After a nice little sell-off with a little hammer. Kind of pushing nicely, huh? Missed it by 2 points. 1.5 points. I think I still want it. I'm going to leave it up. Got some blocks at 90. Do want to be careful about. Breaking the prior low. Ugh. Give it a second off the value area low retest. Yesterday's point of control. We might sweep the lows here. Kind of feels inevitable that I get stopped out, to be honest, but we'll see. I'm out. I'm down 65 bucks. $72 across the board. I went from 5,900 bucks to down 1,400 bucks there. $5,900 profit down to $1,400 loss. That was a 16-point loser or something along those lines. After a 15-point loser down to maybe a 17-point loser, something like that. This is essentially, this is gonna sound crazy. This is essentially a flat day on these accounts, guys. I mean, sub 100 bucks. I'm probably gonna call it here. It's rollover day. I really dislike rollover days, and I don't really want to try and grind essentially a flat day.